It's November 10th, 2025. I'm back over here at Newport Heights Elementary, subbing 4th grade today. So this day is going perfectly. This is an excellent, perfect set of students. I've subbed for this teacher before over the past few years, like back in 2022 and 2023, and she always has amazing classes where all the students are respectful and kind. So earlier this morning we did social studies about the California missions, and that's what I did when I was a 4th grade student here 21 years ago, and we went over to San Juan Capistrano, and I will never forget that field trip. And these students are going to San Juan Capistrano, I think in December they said. And then we did language arts and vocabulary, and we read a story about Hurricane Katrina. Precisely 20 years ago, one score ago, in August of 2005, that's when Hurricane Katrina hit, and I remember that very well actually. It was right before I entered 5th grade here at the school, and it was all over the news for weeks if not months. So it's like we're reading history in which I lived before these students were born. In fact, these students told me that they were born between 2015 and 2016. That's when I was at OCC doing my astronomy and trigonometry and biology and chemistry classes. Oh, and I almost forgot to say, this was my room 22 years ago in 3rd grade. So for most of the year we were in this room, and it's just nostalgic to be back. Well, the rest of the day is going well. They're in music class right now, and after music class I get to teach another math lesson all about fractions and decimals and everything. And that's the end of the day, and tomorrow there's no school because it's Veterans Day. So just paying tribute to those who fought for our country, and that also includes my grandfather and his brother who served in the Navy, and my cousin who served in the Marine Corps. So today's also special in a way because the teacher requested me, and again I subbed for her in the past, so we know each other. In fact, when I was here for a couple of days last week, there's students who said, "Hey, aren't you subbing for me on Monday?" And I said, "Yes, I guess you heard the news." And also last Friday I was at a local Juice It Up, and there were a couple of students in there, and one of them said, "Hey, you're subbing for us on Monday," which is today. So students have been happy to see me today, and we're asking for card tricks all day. Well, I'm sure that the rest of the day would go well, and I'm thankful to be here again. It's November 12th, 2025. I'm over here at Harbor View Elementary. And so the job that I picked up is Special Academic Instruction, or SAI. So that teacher is having me rotate back and forth between 4th grade classrooms. So I started out in the 4th grade classroom next door and just supporting if needed. And then I came in here and pretty much took over because the teacher had like a Zoom meeting / training. And then there's an assembly, and it was called the Imagination Machine. And I first saw them at Kaiser Elementary, and they take student stories and reenact them. But today they were just teaching students on how to write a story and add in all the elements, and then going back and adding more detail and such. And then between recess and lunch I pretty much took over in this classroom. And I also ran into the science teacher this morning. I subbed for her many times here and a couple times at Anderson Elementary, and she was saying that my YouTube video about adventures in substitute teaching, or shorts, one of them, popped up in her feed, and then she sent it to my former 5th grade teacher, and my 5th grade teacher was complimenting me, and so she thought it was very neat to see her classroom on YouTube. And I will say in here in this 4th grade classroom, a couple of students were starting to ask me, can I do these calculus problems on their IXL? And I'm like, okay, this is the limit of a function, and it's this answer, and they're very gobsmacked that I got it correct. And I'm like, hey, I took calculus several years ago, and I really loved it. I taught them how to do the limit, even though they had no idea what a limit was, and they're actually getting it. And they were proudly saying to their classmates, hey, I was doing calculus. And then I was teaching one of them how to take the derivative using the power law. And then the last student that went out to lunch said that I've been a good sub, so I really appreciate that. And so right after lunch, like 10 minutes after it ends, that's it for the day, because it's Wednesday, therefore early out, so it's been a great day, and I'm thankful that I was here. It's November 13th, 2025. I'm over here at my alma mater, Newport Harbor High School, subbing a special day today. So so I just subbed 3 English classes today. The first were 9th graders, then 10th graders, then 12th graders. And the reason why today is special is because this teacher was my former teacher 13 years ago. He was my 12th grade English teacher, and not only that, but it was in this classroom as well. And it's like all the posters are the same. And I'm like, wow, so many things haven't changed in the last 13 years. In fact, I do remember 13 years ago today, November 13th, 2012, I had an ophthalmology appointment. Anyway, I told that to all the students, that this was my former classroom and your teacher was my former teacher. And many students marveled. In fact, during the break, I visited my former 11th grade English teacher. And then during lunch, I visited my former 10th grade English teacher, along with a couple of other teachers whom I knew from when I was a student. And they're all asking me, so how's life? How's everything? Are you applying for jobs? Are you wanting to be a full-time teacher? So it was good to catch up. And so I was kept busy today, which is excellent because I would be bored to death if I had 90 to 100 minutes of nothing to do besides taking roll. So like every 10 to 20 minutes I sent students off to different tasks and passed out papers or said go to Schoology. So the second class was AP Language, and they started out with a journal, and that's exactly what we did when I was a student. We had like 10 minutes to journal and then share if there was time. The last class I played a little bit of a show that they were watching for their writing project. And all day today, throughout the day in this classroom and outside, there were tons of students asking to see tricks. In fact, at lunchtime at the library, while I was picking up a laptop so that I could play the movie in period 6, there was a group of students that came up to me, and one of them said, here's $1, can you do a trick with it? I mean, they weren't paying me $1, they were asking if I could do a trick with $1, so I took out my pen and seemingly put a hole in it and then took it out without leaving a mark. Well, anyway, I was thankful to be here subbing for my former high school teacher. It's so nostalgic to be back every time. It's almost like no time has passed, even though it's been about 13 years. So I'm thankful that I'm here today. I know where I'm going to be tomorrow. It's November 14th, 2025, and again I'm subbing special academic instruction, but back over here at Newport Heights Elementary. And I'm going to say, I believe this is the same portable that I remember nearly 20 years ago. It used to be a 4th grade classroom. And when I was in 6th grade, I would go around the campus and collect the attendance, like every day for a week. It was like rotational duty that us 6th graders had to do. And I remember I had a sense of humor back then. And I would come in, I'd make the class and the teacher laugh every day. And one of the days I was walking backward, like on the ramp behind me, and I literally fell backward and dropped everything. And the next thing I hear are students charging to the window and the door and seeing if I was okay, and of course I was. I did it on purpose. Yeah, I had a sense of humor, and as a substitute teacher I probably would never do that, like over 20 years later, but hey, that's what I did when I was 11 years old, and I wrote about it in my first book, Juggling the Issues, about, you know, the sense of humor side of being autistic. And I actually have a YouTube video that you could watch if anyone's interested, where I read from my book and tell what happened. So students are being pushed in throughout the day, and I'm helping as necessary. And it's quite a rainy day. It's been pouring earlier. So the teachers didn't have any students for half the day, and so I went over to the office and they had me cover some classes during lunchtime. So there's a 4th grade classroom and a 6th grade classroom. The 4th grade classroom was the one I subbed for on Monday, so the teacher was telling me in person how appreciative she was. And then I was in here making some copies and cutting bundles of paper. And so now what do? Well, the office said go around to each classroom one by one and ask if they need any help, and that's exactly what I did. And just stepped out in the kindergarten classroom with an ice cream party. And next was the 1st grade class, and the teacher was my former 3rd grade teacher from 22 years ago, and he's like, well, do you want to do card tricks? So I was showing a few card tricks and they were all baffled. And so the last classroom that I went to was room 19. I was just helping out if needed, but that was my 5th grade classroom precisely one score ago, 20 years ago, from 2005 to 2006. I was doing the calculations, and November 14th, 2005 should have been a Monday, so I was here because I had perfect attendance, so it was so nostalgic to be back. And then at one point I ran into a 2nd grade teacher whom I subbed for last week, and now I have a whole envelope of notes from the students just apologizing to me for how they behaved after lunch. Again, they were perfect in the morning. After lunch, they were like a completely different class. And throughout the entire day, a lot of students were happy to see me again, but still, it never ceases. Students say, he's very tall all day today. I'm like, yeah, I'm between 6'2" and 6'3". But you know, I'm probably that tall that all afternoon there's something tickling my face and I think I ran into a spider web or something. So it was fantastic doing SAI again. When I was a student there nearly 20 years ago, I had RSP, which was Resource Specialist Program, or really special person. And so that's kind of who I was today, like my former RSP teachers. You know, students came in and out throughout the day and I just helped as needed. And during my downtime, which I had a lot of, I was practicing some more Algebra 2, because I'm tutoring an Algebra 2 student via Zoom later today. So I was just practicing completing the square, deriving the quadratic formula for fun. And while I was in that SAI room, there's another teacher there, and we know each other and we had a great conversation, and she said that she read my book. And I'm like, thank you for letting me know. And she said it was so inspirational. And we started to talk about my story and my story as an autistic. And I was expressing how it's my goal to be in every school in Orange County. I'm not sure if that's going to happen soon, but it's my primary goal to be in every school in Newport Mesa Unified School District. And I was telling her that I'm hoping and praying that one day it would be at Newport Heights Elementary. I get to do my assemblies there. They're volunteer. I do not charge for it. And I've been asking Newport Heights since 2019. And then COVID happened, which closed the schools, obviously. But for the past few academic years, I've been trying to be in every school in Costa Mesa, Newport Beach, and beyond. And I've already spoken to over 12,000 students and counting. So hopefully one day soon, I'll be at Newport Heights Elementary doing my volunteer assemblies. And I'm still not giving up on the other schools like Ensign and Newport Harbor and Tewinkle and Whittier and so on. And so remember that disability or not, anyone can do whatever they set to their heart and mind to do as long as it's practical. And behind the disability, we have a heart and a mind. Thank you so much for watching. And then she sent it to my former 5th grade teacher. My 5th grade teacher was complimenting me. And during my downtime, which I had a lot of, great, more trees.